Good evening, everybody. Hope everybody's having a nice night tonight. So, let's see where we are. David Davidson, hey, you are first, and you get the recognition being first. Good job. Nero said, "I didn't know zombies were real." Hey, that's my charisma. That's how good I am being charismatic. I can, just like Jesus de Cristo. I can bring the dead back. Hope everybody's having a nice night so far. Yes. Oh, Lucas. Hello, Lucas. Good evening, Clarice. Hey, Scorpion. Hey, Nero. Monad. Toothless. Just getting the true and shine ready. Hey, gotta brew it nice and good. Low and slow. 4M, how are you? During an active trial, can the judge consult with another judge? I mean, they probably won't, but if they're asking, like, how do I address this issue or do you have suggestions? I mean, they probably can seek counsel from another judge, but generally they're probably not. They likely would have done that beforehand. But yes, if something happens where they don't know what to do, I mean, they probably will. And, I might, I don't know entirely. It would have to be dependent on what they say and what they talk about, if that's an issue or not. Did everybody bring their switchies tonight? Hopefully everybody did. So, whoa, 34 already. Wow, we're doing good. Hey, Dead BQ. Magnus, hi, how are you doing? Graham, yes, have you seen the plaintiff? Yeah, I don't know if we've seen the plaintiff yet. That's a big problem. Yes, would it be fair to say that you weren't late and gay? Yes, it would be. Be very fair. Hello, T-Rex, how you doing? Charles is asking, have any of the cases you have litigated appear on YouTube? No, and I hope to God they never do. As much as I love my job, I'm not sure I want to be analyzed like everything else. The Lucas photo should only be a forehead. Yes, that big balding forehead. Oh, you're waiting for somebody else there. Okay. Beautifully inappropriate. Hello. Hi. On time and super straight. It's the only straight to be. Hi, Bren. Hi, Ginger. Uh, Unacceptable views. How you doing, Josh? Hello, Joy or Joe. Joloy. Hello. So we are just still hanging out. We will be covering stuff, guys. Tonight there will be from the Daryl Brooks trial. We're only going to be covering mainly what's talked about on cross because it's pretty clear. And I can talk about who these witnesses are. The first witness, for example, is going to be the sergeant that was in charge of the parade from the police department, in charge of the security. I just brought it up because it's significant. It's pretty emotional, and his testimony, yeah, it gets pretty emotional. Then Brooks cross examines him for a couple of minutes. Then the next person who testified was the so Daryl Brooks had a girlfriend living in a domestic violence shelter, and her roommate uh, was there when Daryl Brooks encountered her and assaulted her. So she testified, and there was significant cross examination there, and some of it was pointless, but some of it actually kind of found some gold there. I think accidentally, but we'll talk about that as we get to it. The rest of it's pretty straightforward. Also, there is some news about Lori Valo Daybell. That trial is getting continued to another date, and we'll get to that in a little bit. Zero signal, hello. Also, guys, let me know if my microphone gets all wacky because I know we were having problems earlier tonight with that. It took 3 hours to get through all the jury instructions. Yeah, but I don't know why the judge read him that way. That's a weird way to read it, including if they were to find him guilty about how to do certain things, because that's presuming there's a verdict. They should just be apprised of, here are the charges, here's the indictment, count 1, count 2, count 3, all the way up to count like 77. I think there was probably a good 30 to 40 minutes of unnecessary talking she added to that. Okay. Does Wisconsin have the death penalty? No, they do not. They have not had the death penalty since 1850 something. That said, though, they are one of the oldest state or the longest running states to not have a death penalty, but they are not better than Michigan, who has never had the death penalty. Michigan only had the death penalty when it was a federal territory. Once it became a state, they did not wish to have the death penalty, and they have never had it. Yes, at some point, Brooks took off his shirt during the earlier parts of the case, and yes, he did not have like a big picture of himself on his back. Lamo saying, "You finally convinced me to sub with your joking and legal vices channel today. Thank you. I really appreciate you coming over here. It means a lot. Very, very appreciated." Yes, would it be fair to say that you enjoy streaming? Would that be fair to say? Graham, oh, there's no indictment. It's only an information. Yeah. And information still does the same thing, listing the charges. I guess we'll get started with Daryl Brooks, and we'll go from here to his. Where do I have all these numbers down? Okay, gotta find these timestamps. So the prosecution, their opening statement was about 35 minutes long. It was very succinct. I thought they did a very impressive job of just motorboating right through everything. They hit all their points. They're not going to have every single person who was involved testify, but they made it sound like this is going to be a fairly sleek and fairly well put together presentation, which is very nice. So they got up, they got done. Then Daryl Brooks had his chance to deliver an opening statement, and he declined to open at this point. Now, he does have the right to, at the beginning of his case in chief, after the state rest, to present an opening argument. That is actually a tactic you can use as a defense attorney. It's a very, there are times where it is important you can do that. Myself, I've never done it, but I know attorneys who have done it and they've opted to do that at a trial. It does a couple of things. If you open up right after the prosecutor, well, the prosecutor could take notes and, like, okay, he's going to hit all these points. I can destroy his points. Boom, 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 while he's presenting evidence. If you don't know what I'm going to say and what I'm going to argue until after I get going, that kind of puts them at a disadvantage. Now, there are some other tactical considerations to do, but generally it's not something that's considered a good idea, but there would be times where it's helpful. Now, with Daryl Brooks, who knows if that's a good idea or not because he's just doing whatever the hell he wants at this point. Um, I don't know about that one. I don't know, Graham. Yes, that's we'll get to that point. We'll get to what his argument's going to be, and I think it'll be interesting when he finally does it. Aaron will saying my chat disappeared. Uh-oh. If you're having problems with your chat, I would recommend you just refresh your chat, refresh the page. I know a couple people have mentioned that. I think on a stream or two, if that happens, just refresh. It's all I can recommend. And actually, before we do start, I guess we have to address the elephant in the room. Yes, Nick Rekieta is no longer on YouTube. His channel was deleted, terminated, whatever you like to call it, for violating community guidelines. We don't know for sure what they are. We don't know if it's Keffel's in the Troon Brigade because he was going to air out their names for docs, trying to, file complaints, which why would you use your real names? That's entirely the perfect point to make up a fake name and just use the address of a pizza parlor somewhere nearby. But hey, they're stupid. The other one may have been they tried to mass flag something from previously, maybe involving COVID. I'm not sure. I don't think we're sure yet. Nick is still waiting to find out. He'll be on again tonight on Rumble at 11 p.m. Central. Hopefully, he's got some more information for us. But in the meantime, Keffels, go fuck yourself. Lucas, really, You're a real boy, Lucas. Chris Boozy, I know you're trying to claim this too. Go fuck yourself. You hyenas are acting like terrorist groups trying to claim every little misfortune that happens. So go fuck yourselves. Ethan and Ralph, go fuck yourself too. I'll just throw everybody in there. Gayfesh, go fuck yourself. Duncan, go fuck yourself. Have fun trying to get more research done, you pedophile enabler. Yes, and he'll be back at some point. I have a positive outlook on this. He will be back, and let's say, God forbid, he's not back. He will come back stronger than ever before, wherever he is, whatever he's doing. Just like Rubber Band Man, he just snap right back. So don't worry about him; he'll be all right. Real quick before we start the Brooks stuff, is the Cruz case ever going to end? Yes, the state rested today. Everything's done. So we will work on that, and we'll see what happens going forward. Chaucerian Fraud says, yeah, Twitter removed the sitting president of the U.S. Nick is screwed. Yeah, but we'll see. We shall see. Nick has kind of alluded to the fact that his LLC that owns the channel is in Tejas, and Tejas has an interesting social media law, so we'll see what happens. Yes, Wrestler Town. Yes, Lucas can't wait to get research into transing babies. So we shall see. Okay. Oh. Yeah, well, Keffel's ag biochemist are saying people were calling Keffels a map, and he hasn't denied it in his Twitter comments. Yeah, but Keffels and Bob posting his compatriot and all this bathtub HRT and all this nonsense, they've been sanitizing tweets and comments they've made previously. So I do think they realize the public's starting to look towards them. It also doesn't help Destiny came out with both barrels blazing at Keffels. So, like I said last night, Keffels is going to be the reason why Keffels crashes and burns. Keffels will be the architect of his own demise. Lucas will do something stupid and cause his downfall. So just hang tight. It'll happen before you know. Yes, Lamo says, good thing KF has it all archived. Parallax says, Destiny, that's a woman's name. And Toothless says, yes, remember the RCMP seized all of Lucas's hard drives. Yes, they did, and they imaged them, and who knows what's on there. Maybe a lot of cooking. Lucas is Italian, so maybe a lot of pizza on there. Who knows? All right, guys. Well, we're gonna start with Daryl Brooks, and we're gonna. I just think it's an amazing part at the beginning. The first person that testified was Sergeant Warner. He was in charge of the parade security and everything as far as planning the parade that night when Daryl Brooks showed up, and I just think it's very emotional listening to this guy talk about it. And I think it sets the tone for a lot of what happened. So we're going to set this up, and I just kind of want you guys to follow along for a second here. And we will. I also got the sound boosted up for you guys, so it might come in a little louder than normal. But here we go.
Were you able to see the vehicle clearly as it went? I'm sorry.
Rejected. It's overruled. Go ahead.
From where you were standing there, were you able to turn and watch the SUV as it traveled past you down White Rock towards Main Street?
Objection.
Overruled.
Just asked that.
I only watched.
At this time, Daryl Brooks is still in the other room. Eventually, he minds his manners and gets brought back in to join the class with the rest of the children. But for right now, he's still acting like a dick. But this is the officer who was in charge of the entire parade route.
Watched it for a short period of time before returning to my squad car, knowing that some sort of police action was going to need to be taken.
What did you do once you got to your squad?
I got in my squad car. It was bombarded with the most terrible.
This is him silent. He's still struggling to answer. But I will say, tightening up the shot on him is very dramatic and theatrical. So whoever is in charge of that camera work, very good job. And see, Fox Milwaukee, I'm giving critique on the video itself and the contents. So fuck you if you try to fair use me.
Is the most terrible thing I ever heard.
The sounds. Yes. You didn't see anything at that point as far as people getting hit?
No.
Okay. I want to show.
Just 45 seconds of dead silence like that. Just him trying to come relive that. It's actually, you can tell he's having to watch that and know he couldn't do anything about it. So I just thought that was very interesting. It was a very it's kind of one of those raw parts of the trial. And I'm sure there'll be a lot in this case, but right off the bat, minutes into it, they're already at this level. So I think it'll be a good trial. And then getting forward, right, I'll just see if anybody mentioned anything. Yeah, this is why live streaming trials are important. Yeah, he wants a memory breach, definitely. Jacob Castro, free Nick Rekieta. Yep, 100%. Yeah, I'm not, at Citric 19, 100% correct. Screwing long crime here, but I'm using non-long crime links, so it's even easier. Would these questions be subject to leading? At times it can be, but if you're trying to establish foundation, like I saw the car, okay, that he already stated that, and then there's times where you can get away with it, but it also doesn't help that Daryl Brooks is not an attorney, so he's not thinking that far ahead. So, yeah, it all depends, but this is where having a trained professional would help a lot. As we keep going, though, we're going to get right into the heart of Daryl Brooks' stunning cross-examination of this officer, and it's only 5 minutes long, but it's revealing.
Waukesha County.
From when
The objection irrelevant.
Overruled.
Waukesha County and far beyond.
Thank you, sir. I don't have any other questions at this time.
So here we go.
Mr. Brooks, do you have any
Let's get ready,
questions for
Daryl.
this witness?
See what you
Yes, I
got,
do.
brother.
Good afternoon, officer. First off,
Good afternoon.
I'll say this is very emotional, so I'm going to try my best not to keep you up there any longer than you would like to be. My first question is, I noticed that you are in uniform today. Is it fair to say that if you weren't here testifying that you would have been on duty today? Is it fair to ask that or say that?
Been at work today.
Sorry, guys, it freezes up a little bit.
So did you feel the testimony that you would be giving at trial today warranted you to be in uniform?
Objection relevance, Your Honor.
Sustained. You do not need to answer that, sir. Next question, Mr. Brooks.
You said you've been in duty for 18 years, correct? in any of those 18 years, have you ever come across or had any interaction with the plaintiff in this matter?
Objection, vague.
Sustained. You do not.
And now we're getting to the interesting parts of him asking, do you know who the plaintiff is? Do you know who the state of Wisconsin is? That's going to be a recurring theme. Also, would it be fair to say? And here's the thing: when you're doing cross-examination, you can use that argument. And I actually did that today. I had a bench trial for a misdemeanor, a low of a misdemeanor charge, and the officer and I were discussing how far away my client had done something, and I said, would it be fair to say it's like 10 feet if you had to guess? And he said, oh, it's the distance between me and you. And I said, would you call that 10 feet? And he agreed. And I used would it be fair? But otherwise, generally speaking, you're going to say, isn't this correct? Right? You did this, didn't you? Isn't it true you did this? You can use the would it be fair to say, but when you do that, you can sometimes open up a person to giving a bigger question than an answer than yes or no. So there are problems with that. But once again, this guy, as my ex father-in-law used to say, he's working without tools. That's the best he can do. So let's just keep going.
I need to answer that, sir.
Next question, Mr. Brooks.
How long have you known the plaintiff?
Objection, vague and irrelevant.
Once again, more of this
Sustained.
nonsense.
You do not need to answer that, sir. Next question, Mr. Brooks.
Do you see the plaintiff in court today?
Objection, vague and irrelevant.
Sustained. Next question.
Do you have any knowledge of the plaintiff?
Objection,
Sustained.
This is more of his sovereign citizen nonsense.
Have you ever even seen the plaintiff in this matter?
same objection.
Sustained.
If he was smart, he could say, yeah, I've seen the state of Wisconsin. We're standing on it right now. It's all around us. So he's going to keep, that's going to be one of his defenses or arguments is they haven't identified the actual victim, the delectable the corpse, as they would like to talk about, the corpus delicti.
I want to go to the clip that was just shown.
Would you like it shown to the witness again and published to the jury?
I'm sure would he prefer for it to be so again?
I just wanted to know if that's what you were asking. You can certainly question him about it, and if need be, it can be shown again.
Okay, can you show the witness the video clip again?
Sure. All right, I can tell.
From my monitor and the witness monitor, it is up, but it's not being projected to the courtroom other than that. And you can go ahead and play it.
All right, your question, sir.
In that clip, is it fair to say that you can see that there are people walking in the street and on the sidewalk? Would that be fair to say?
Yes, I could see that in the video clip.
Do you see anybody being targeted or being in a panic to get away from the vehicle?
No.
Do you see the said driver of that vehicle intentionally trying to hit anyone in that video?
No.
So again, I would ask, were you brought here today to testify on behalf of the plaintiff?
Objection asked and answered.
More plaintiff nonsense.
Sustained. He already answered that he was why he's here.
Again, I'll ask just one more time for the record. Do you see the plaintiff in court today?
Objection.
Sustained. Do you have any other questions, Mr. Brooks?
Do you know of the plaintiff at all whatsoever?
Objection.
Sustained.
What a dickhead.
No further questions.
All right, thank you. Any redirect?
No.
All right, thank you, Sergeant. You may step down. Is he released from his subpoena?
Yes, please.
So yes, even the prosecutor's like, I got no other questions. I don't need to go after this. So, real quick, I was just gonna get through a couple of these fast. KTB for $1.99 for the super chat. Thank you for the support. I appreciate it. Thanks for the trial coverage. Best genre ever. Eric Fulm says Brooks is doing better and be Ivory Lamar. It comes to it. Ralph says, are you going to cover this live tomorrow? If I get time in the afternoon, I will, but I've got court in the morning. I've got some I got to attend to some clients that are in jail, so I got to go see them, and however long I take. So I can't promise anything. Chris Kelly, super chat for five pounds sterling. Thank you very much for your support. I appreciate it. Do you plan to live stream this trial regularly? If I can, I will. I just, my schedule's a little hectic, although some stuff has cleared up this month. So that's the good news. I've enjoyed watching this more on a long cuck, but I prefer watching it with you. Cheers from the UK. Well, thank you. I appreciate it. Yeah, I really will be working on that. So hopefully we do get to watch it. Won't be every day, but I'll do as much as I can. Yep, knowledge of the plaintiff. Where actually, hold on, I missed this one here. Nero brought this up. Rightfully pointing out the intentional choice of officers to always show up in uniform. It depends in the courts. Some states and some regions, the police show up in a suit and tie, and they don't wear the patrol uniform unless it's a demonstrative. Now in Ohio, yeah, the cops always show up dressed. You wear your uniform to court. You wear all your stuff. Now, if you're a detective, you wear a suit and tie. But it depends on your region and area. Some places you're not allowed to wear a uniform because that gives off the presumption of authority and that you're more credible because of that. We'll get to this one, Muros. I think that's a good point. So that is a point we'll juxtapose once we get to the end. Okay, real quick. I'm just going to catch up on everything else here. Then there was a second witness, and this witness was Corey Runkle. No relation to Ian Runkle. Yes, Parallax, your cross was so bad, we're not going to redirect. And that's true. As a non-juror, I'm convinced. I don't care if you cover it live. I'll take anything. All right. Yes, KTB says there are alternatives to long cucks, such as Twisted Sisters, run by the fabulous people, Critter, Gabby, and Matthew. They run it. They do a great job. And yeah, they've been airing it every day, and they've been airing the Cruz trial. They've been also doing the stuff out of Pike County. They've been kind of covering everything. So we will show the next stop, and this was Corey Runkle is the friend of Daryl Brooks' girlfriend. Now, the reason why Daryl Brooks came to Waukesha that day, they were ex-girlfriend and boyfriend. She was residing at a domestic violence shelter. He came and picked her up. Apparently, during that day, he was abusive and mad with her, and that at some point he struck her. And then this woman, Corey Runkle, was about to testify. They contacted the police, and once the police were called, Daryl Brooks got real mad, and Big Man, his little tampon fury, drove off like a big bad man and then ran over everybody because, he couldn't keep his shit in check. So that's the theory of the case from the state. And we'll get to that where does she jump in? So she IDs him, and I'm just kind of skipping the parts I thought were interesting here. And we'll let her start talking.
Do you see Daryl Brooks either in the courtroom or on any monitors in the courtroom right now?
Yeah.
Your Honor, and actually for this point, I would ask that the court order the defendant to remove his mask.
Mr. Brooks, your order to remove your mask.
No, I'm not gonna do that.
Mr. Brooks, we talked about this at a prior hearing. For purposes of identification, your order to unmask.
Thank you, sir.
So now,
He cucked out. Good job, Daryl. Then it gets going a little further. He does something you should never ever do. When you are, especially when you're standing trial for murder, don't ever, ever, ever do this. So, yeah, Long Cuck did rip the stream of Court TV anyway, yes, but it's a pool footage. Porcelain Thunder said, "Oh, did Montegraph show up tonight?" No, not yet. But it's interesting. Now I've got like Spurg lore on my channel, which is great. I need to start building it up. A history. Sir Kurt said that second witness. Yeah, we'll get to that because Daryl Brooks actually does some good cross examination a little bit. But we'll get to here with this part. Don't ever do this, guys. When you're up there and you're a defendant, you should look like a statue, not emotional. Definitely don't do this.
can we pull up Exhibit 5 for the witness, please?
The jury just saw that too. You're laughing in the middle of a murder case. The case that you're accused of murdering a bunch of people. Do not laugh. That is not a good thing. It also helps. Don't go like, or go, no, you're a statue. You're a rock. You don't react. You know, you could sit there and scribble on a note to me and pass it over and say, this is bullshit. This is wrong. This is all made up. I can't believe it. Or you could say, LOL, she's a dumb bitch. Sure. All that's fine. But you don't show that in front of the jury because that makes you just, if nobody else is laughing, you shouldn't be laughing. That's the point. And then Daryl Brooks got the cross, and he got actually some good, interesting stuff came out. And I thought it was very interesting what he revealed.
Yes.
Thank you.
Hanging out, what were you guys actually doing?
And by these guys, this is the woman and Daryl Brooks' girlfriend.
Drinking?
So would it be fair to say that because of alcohol being involved, that there may have been a misinterpretation of what you saw? Or
No.
what you thought you saw?
Objection calls for speculation.
The question, the way it's asked, calls for speculation. If you could please rephrase it.
Oh, I actually different. How much were you drinking? Was it a few beers, a bottle?
Half a
Something to that
pint.
effect? Half a pint. Do you remember what you were drinking?
Vodka.
He brought out some good information. This witness who claims she saw him at the domestic violence shelter rough up his ex-girlfriend. It's like, yeah, we were getting tipsy out in the park slinging vodka. How much? Oh, half a pint. Like, yeah, her credibility, is just going down. It's not going to sink this case, but it doesn't. It's stuff that the state, if they were smart, they should have brought up. Like, hey, had you been drinking that day? What were you guys doing? What was going on? And they never brought this up, and they should have, because now it looks like you're trying to hide things, and you shouldn't ever look like you're hiding stuff as a prosecutor. If something bad was going on, just bring it up. Now, is the jury going to be swayed by this too much? No. But I always just recommend you get out in front of this crap, because now it feels like he's getting one over on everybody. He's making headway. And then it got to the And it was weird because everything took so well. Oh. So yeah, Sir Kurtz, when you said she's on way too many barbiturates, yeah, you have no idea. She was doped up then too. Let me see what else you guys have mentioned here. Why hasn't the representation been revoked? Because the judge thinks he's doing it right, and I think she's making a bad record by letting this keep going. She should stop this now. It's too late. But she's gonna, I have a chance this comes back if at this point now. Sir Kurt said, "You're Iraq." I don't know. I'm a person. What did he laugh at? I'm not 100% sure what he laughed at because we didn't get to see everything on screen, but it doesn't matter. Unless it's somebody in court like tripping and falling or accidentally saying something really goofy and everybody else in the courtroom laughs, which that will happen even in the middle of a very serious trial, like a sexual assault case. Something happens and everybody happens to chuckle. That's fine. You can laugh then. You can be like, ha, ha, ha. But if something happens in the middle of the trial and you're the only guy laughing, you're the defendant, that's not good. That's really, really, really bad. He got the cross, yeah. Boy, yes. Would it be fair to say you didn't do it? Chris Kelly saying, "Let me ask you this: have you ever been charged? Have you ever defended someone charged with murder?" Not yet. Like I said, I've got a couple cases I might be being involved with, but not yet. That's still kind of like my white whale. Chaucerian fraud says half a pint. Is that a lot? I mean, like these women were probably taking swigs out of a bottle of vodka, but yeah, they definitely wouldn't have been able to drive a car. I bet they reeked of vodka too. So let's keep going here. We're gonna keep. Oh, thank you, Parallax. I'll take a look at that in a minute. I did want to get to the last little bit of nonsense Brooks did because it was funny. It was well, it wasn't funny. It was kind of cringe. Where does he do it at? Yeah, here we go. Now, at this point, they actually took a break and they brought him back into the courtroom. So now he's in the courtroom with everybody else. Just machine gunning those objections. Staying on it. Yeah, and he did have a very brief redirect, and that was it for the day. But yes, the nonsense of Daryl Brooks, he's asking all that goofy shit. Is not going to go anywhere. It's not going to. Oh my God. Oh, Jesus Christ on a cracker. I just did that, didn't I? I just did that. God damn it. God damn it. Oh, shit. All right, I guess I'll show it to everybody now since I just talked about it. Jesus. It's live TV, folks. Live TV. All right, here we go. So you guys want to hear it so bad.
Do you remember what they might have been?
No.
Do you know the plaintiff?
Objection.
for previous reasons.
Sustained.
Have you ever seen the plaintiff?
Objection.
Sustained.
Have you ever had any interaction with the plaintiff?
Objection.
Sustained.
No further questions, Your Honor.
Thank you. Any redirect?
Very, very briefly, Your Honor.
Go ahead.
Okay, so there we go. So now you guys got to see it. More of this sovereign citizen nonsense about who is the plaintiff and what's going on. Are you going to show him putting the objection sign in his pants? Yes. I got to grab that up now. But yes, he had a little bit of time where he got to act like a spaz prior to the start of the trial. And he was waving around his objection cards, being just overall a bit of an idiot with them. And where is, oh, hold on. So, all right, yeah, here's the last little bit I was going to show you guys. Instead, actually, he took his shirt off partway through things, and once again, he's just throwing a temper tantrum. For what reason, I don't know why, but he threw a tantrum.
Because he's come to court here today in his jail attire, that is a choice that he has made freely, voluntarily, and intelligently. No one has forced him to come to jail in those clothes. This court is encouraging him not to. He's appeared previously in his street clothes in what I would describe as a very nice suit and tie. But it is his choice to not do that, and we will proceed accordingly.
That is the other thing. He showed up for trial today in his prison uniform. Now, that is highly prejudicial. Supreme Court, courts all over the country have argued and pointed out that if a defendant shows up in that is highly prejudicial. The jury sees them in their clothes. There's a presumption of guilt attached to that. So that's why he was in a suit before. And the public defender's office got him hooked up. It actually looked like it was a nice fitting suit. They got him measured out so he could actually do it and not look like a bag of wrinkles. But he said, screw it, I'm not wearing that today. So he shows up in his jumpsuit. Now, he has that right if he wants to, but it's never a good look. And the court made that clear on the record. That was his own decision. So that's just the court preventing this from being brought up on appeal.
So while we're on the record, may I challenge the subject matter jurisdiction?
No, you may not, sir. You need to file a motion in order to do that.
So
Mr. Brooks?
motions I filed haven't even been responded to. I gave.
Mr. Brooks, you're interrupting me yet again.
You just weren't speaking.
All right,
so
Mr. Brooks, you are now going to be removed to the other courtroom.
To that.
I have had a dozen or more interruptions. We'll be off the record while we do that. Thank you,
I don't
everyone.
agree to a stop. Well, I move for a motion to dismiss for being under duress and being coerced into a contract that I did not consent or agree to.
Yes, the contracts. When he mentioned the shocks on his ankles, they have little shock collars on his ankles that will tase him and take him down. And it's a less restrictive way of having him restrained because otherwise he may have to have cuffs on and that looks bad in front of the jury. So this is their way of changing that. And there's one of the sheriff's deputies sent back there and he's got a little clicker and he can go zap, zap if he gets out of hand.
I have a right to be present for trial.
Not when you're acting like an asshole.
That is why we're able to see and when appropriately hear him when unmuted. And then there are the 4 camera angles.
This is him muted. He's now throwing a temper tantrum.
I have a camera in the other courtroom on a single fence extended this courtroom to the neighboring courtroom. I'd also make a finding that he
did act like a dick, a very big dick. Miss Dinga Dingus, do you love black people? He should show up tomorrow. Parallax saying he should show up tomorrow with the orange jumpsuit with the tie. That would be stylish. That would be stylish. So let's see. Oh, Alpha, I'm gonna have to talk to you about that. If you're in my Discord, hit me up because yeah, I'd like to talk to you about that. But anyways, what's up, Playboy? Coming from, and Parallax just got this to me. It is very interesting. There is a screen, there is a video, there is a picture of what Daryl Brooks has been filing. And this is what he filed It's nice somebody actually got a hold of it. It's all scratched out by hand, which I will give him credit for. That is not easy. He says state of Wisconsin plaintiff. It seems he's recognized because here he says Darrell Brooks, alleged defendant. I would almost argue if I'm the prosecutor, I would come in and argue that if he's saying he knows that it's not an alleged plaintiff, he's just saying plaintiff, that's almost his tacit acknowledgement the state of Wisconsin is the plaintiff. And it's the state and it's the people, it's society. But we'll see. Maybe they've got something up their sleeve just to shut that down. So he's an objection by affidavit to the state's response and the court's opinion and order of the defendant and disclosure statement by affidavit. Okay, come now, the alleged defendant, Darrell Brooks, duly sworn or penalty perjury by and through its authorized representative, the undersigned, and gives objection by affidavit to the state's response of opinion and defendant's disclosure statement. It swears the following facts are true, and he's preserving his appellate rights to appeal. He goes through all of this, and he says that Susan L. Oper, Leslie Bosey, and Zachary Witchow, this is the district attorney, her assistant, and then that's the guy sitting at the table with him who was doing the questioning. Then Jennifer Ardoro, who is the judge. They have all sworn and affirmed and recognized that Darrell Edward Brooks Jr. is the authorized representative for the defendant. And the named defendant in this matter is Darrell E. Brooks, and are witnesses for the defendant and plaintiffs in that regard. The defendant, Darrell Brooks, is an entity without the state of Wisconsin and is without a legal personality attached to its name and has no standing nor interest within the matter before the court. This is the sovereign citizen nonsense right here coming out. The plaintiff appears to be fictitious, an entity without an affirmed injury in fact before this court, and appears to not be the real party in interest as evidenced by the complaint submitted by an agency and the plaintiff's representatives whom are witnesses for the defendant and is outstanding to bring a claim against the defendant. And then he comes down here, he signs it, his verification statement, and then like a sovereign citizen, it's signed all rights reserved, which means nothing in this situation. And yes, it got notarized because these guys think notarizing something is a special thing. And I wish I had my notary stamp around because it absolutely means nothing. Just that Darrell Brooks is the guy confirmed to have signed this. So, but yes, the rest of the day he sat there quietly. Yes, all rights reserved, motion denied. Yes. Yes, there was a spot where that happened, and I forget where it was, but yes, the prosecutor explained to him motion, and he kind of just took the wind out of his sails. So that's it for Darrell Brooks. We'll see what happens the rest of the week. I assume it's only going to get better from here. There'll just be more stupidity, but we'll see. We shall see. Now, moving on from that, and actually we'll cover these in the order things kind of happened. So the president of the United States, Joe Biden, has a son named Hunter. Hunter has a long history of smoking crack. And that's an issue for Hunter because smoking crack is illegal in the United States. In addition to smoking crack being illegal, period, he has some tax issues, but more importantly, buying a gun. Now, why is that an issue? Well, in America, and this is something for not only the Americans here, but everybody else, if you buy a gun from a gun store, you fill out what's called a 4473. If you've watched Red Dawn, this is the form they talk about getting. So this is the firearms transaction record. And if you go all the way down the bottom, it says ATF form 4473, and that's the form you're using when you go to the gun store. So you fill out everything. You fill out the manufacturer, the model, serial number, type, caliber, and gauge, the total number of guns you're buying, and then the transferee, which is you, the person buying it, your last name, first name, middle name, all your information here, your city, your place of birth, your city and state. You have to know that. If you were born in a foreign country, because you might be a naturalized citizen or somebody with a green card who can possess a firearm. Or if you're on a non-student visa, there are non-student visas where you can possess firearms. Not a lot of them, but some. Goes through all the other different things here, your social security number, your ethnicity and race, are you a citizen or not? And then you have to go through the questions here. Are you the actual buyer of the firearm? If not, that's a straw purchase. Are you under indictment for a felony or any other crime which could prison you for more than a year? Or have you been discharged? Or you've been charged with violations for a court martial? So in the military, you have to check yes or no. Have you ever been convicted for a felony? Or faced, a year or more in prison? Yes or no. Are you a fugitive from justice? Meaning, do you have warrants? Or are you on the run? Yes or no. And then finally, this one here for Hunter is the big one. Are you an unlawful user or addicted to marijuana or any depressant, stimulant, narcotic, drug, or any other controlled substance? If that's you, guess what that means? If you answer yes, you can no longer purchase a firearm. You will get denied. So, are you addicted to any drugs, narcotic drugs, which include, guess what? Crack cocaine. And Hunter is fully admitted to smoking crack back in 2018. So, not a good idea for Hunter to go do that and then lie on the form. Now, I agree the ATF 4473 is wrong. It's unconstitutional. It shouldn't exist. The ATF should be abolished. But in the meantime, there should be an equal application of the law. And if we keep on hearing that nobody's above the law, okay, well, if you line your 4473, guess what should happen? So let me see here. Yes, abolish the ATF. Yes, he's a Biden. Yes, the ATF says we got him. Yeah, he wrote about a bunch of drug use. Yes, chest hearing and fraud. Yes, nobody above the law is code word for prosecuting Trump. Yes, I know. But for Hunter, you don't get to lie on that one. And if everybody's got the rules, then everybody's got the rules. So this is a big problem for you. And then just for everybody else who's involved, they say marijuana here, and then they point out the use of marijuana remains unlawful under federal law, regardless of whether it's been legalized or decriminalized for medicinal purposes in the state you reside. So there are issues that if you get a marijuana card, there's a presumption you're using it. And if you're an unlawful user of it, that you can't legally possess firearms. So just something to think about if you have a marijuana card and you own guns. I can't give you any more legal advice than that. You should talk to an attorney licensed in your state who can advise you properly, but I would recommend you look into it. And then they talk about the other things here. You've adjudicated, you've been discharged dishonorably from the military. Are you under a court order or protection order? Have you ever a misdemeanor crime of domestic violence? Have you ever renounced your citizenship? Because if you do, then you can't own a firearm. Or are you an illegal alien unlawfully in the U.S.? So those are the issues for Hunter. And there are some tax issues as well. But the big one is the Form 4473. You could face up to 10 years in prison for lying on one of those and a $250,000 fine. So federal agents believe this, apparently, that they have enough for tax crimes and a false statement in connection with the purchase of a gun, according to the Washington Post. It's a little weird. Usually you hear about these unnamed sources things. Now we're finally hearing about it for this. It turns into the U.S. Attorney for Delaware, David Weiss, an appointee by Trump. I'm sure there's going to be no political pushing or wrangling there. And he'll decide whether anything happens. Apparently, months ago, they determined that they'd assembled a criminal case against Biden. I'm pretty sure a lot of people put that together a couple years ago. In a statement to the news, Hunter's attorney said, it's a federal felony for an agent to leak information about a grand jury investigation. Yeah. Yes, it is. And guess who, I'm glad we're worried now about the leaks by federal agents in the courts of investigations, because it's a good thing that hasn't happened in the meantime. I mean, really, That would be really bad and disgusting. So, yes, and as you guys mentioned here and we talked about, he purchased a handgun in 2018 and he said he was no, but then he mentioned smoking crack all the time in a book. So he shouldn't have bought it. So we'll see what happens to Hunter. You know, if he did break the law, then fine. If we're gonna hold people accountable and we're playing that game, then let's hold people accountable. Do I really think this is the end of the world? No, but hey, let's see if we do have a justice system or not. Let's see if it's two-tiered or not. I think we already know the answer though. In an interesting move, shortly after the story came out, a couple hours later, President Biden, and this thing I actually do agree with, although I think this is all for show on his part. So we will talk about this because it is interesting in a good way, but it does make it sound like this was done to draw fire away from things going on in his life. This is a proclamation on granting a pardon for the offense of simple marijuana possession. Now, is this itself, and this itself is the pardon. Acting pursuant to the grant of authority in Article 2, Section 2 of the U.S. Constitution, which is the president's pardon power, which is an unlimited power. He can only not pardon you in senses of treason, but his power is extended regardless. He can pardon anybody for anything pretty much. He grants a full, complete, and unconditional pardon, meaning there are no requirements. Everybody automatically gets it right now. So right now, everybody's getting this pardon. To all current lawful United States citizens under lawful permanent residence who committed the offense of simple marijuana possession in violation of the Controlled Substance Act. As codified in the United States Code or in the District of Columbia Code, on or before this date of proclamation, regardless of whether they've been charged with this offense or prosecuted before the date of the proclamation. Okay, so that's important to know. Why? Because if you haven't been charged yet, so if you've used marijuana and you did it in DC, well, if there's a statute of limitations, doesn't matter, gone. If you have done it and you got charged in DC, you've been pardoned. Now, pardoning does not expunge your record. The disabilities from your offense are gone, but the documentation that you were convicted is not gone. That's a separate act. Courts have ruled on this before, so now these people would try to get their records sealed. Now, these District of Columbia, and then there might be the federal government might say, if you've been pardoned, we'll automatically count your record. We'll treat this as the authorization to seal your record or expunge your record. That can happen. But until then, it's just a pardon, which relieves you of all the disabilities. So, for example, if you were convicted of a felony offense like felony murder in Yellowstone, well, that's a federal crime, so you get charged. The president pardons you. Well, now you can do everything else you wanted to. The felony prohibited you from before. You can own a gun, you can vote, you can do all these things because now the disability has been lifted. The problem with the felony caused. It's still on your record that you murdered someone, though. That's the issue. So it says all U.S. citizens who have been convicted of the offense of marijuana possession in violation of the Controlled Substance Act, under the United States Code or in violation of D.C. law. Because remember, D.C. falls under federal jurisdiction. And this pardon shall restore them their full civil, political rights and other rights. Now, if you do have a misdemeanor drug conviction, that can affect you. Sometimes you can face license suspensions. Federally, you can be withheld from having student aid. In D.C. itself, that might prohibit you from getting housing. Any number of things can happen in federal law, and I'm not sure what would happen there. It's only to pardon the offense of simple marijuana possession, though, and not any other offenses related to marijuana or other controlled substances. Okay. So it's only for possessing a little bit of weed, not for driving a Ryder truck full of it around across the border. Okay. And he's making it clear, not for any other offense, including possession of other controlled substances, prior, subsequent, or contemporaneous to the pardoned offense. This pardon does not apply to citizens, people who are not citizens lawfully present in the U.S. So if you're an illegal and you got caught, this doesn't cover you. You have to be a lawful person here lawfully. So once you get this, the Attorney General, through the pardon attorney, you can apply to get a certificate of pardon to show that you've been pardoned for this. Now, if this is any of you out there, yes, I would highly recommend you take advantage of this and keep it in your records. Because that way you can say, hey, look, I got a charge on my record, but here, look, I got pardoned. It's actually kind of neat. You can whip that out at some point. I said whip that out. Does this apply to Fed state charges too? Monad's asking. Nope, only the feds in D.C. The president cannot pardon you for a state level offense because it's not his jurisdiction. Remember, there's federalism. The states have their abilities and powers. The governor is the only one who can pardon you at the state level. So if I commit murder, if I sell drugs, if I sell a pound of weed in Ohio, and then let's say there's a military base nearby and I sell a pound of weed on the base, well, I'm under federal jurisdiction and state jurisdiction. The governor of Ohio would have to pardon me for the selling weed in Ohio, and Biden would be able to pardon me for selling the weed on the base. But they can't do it for each other. There's limits to their jurisdiction. So it's not super huge, but this, I think, does go towards possibly the whole idea of DC becoming a state. They're trying to do things there, but it doesn't. This, if Biden really wanted to make it powerful for the midterms, he would have made it for everybody. But Biden's an old timer and a really old boomer. He doesn't like weed. In fact, when he started his presidency, they had people filling out their security clearance forms. And if you said, yes, I use marijuana or had used marijuana, they were firing you and not just getting it brushed aside. So let's see here. Trying to catch up with you guys here. It's the October surprise, but it's not really an October surprise, though. Who does this help? I mean, really? It doesn't help a ton of people, because the people who are going to have simple marijuana possession convictions at the federal level are who? People in D.C. mainly, or people in territories. That doesn't help you at the election because their votes don't count for the presidency. They don't count for anything else. The Senate and the House, that's not really going to get you anywhere. Super Iron Bob, I think you're correct. This is an incredibly thoughtless pardon. It doesn't consider people who had pleas that removed real things. Yeah, this is all for just very low level pot possession. Nothing else. Not for traffickers, not for guys who got caught, like I said, with a truck full of it. Super Iron Bob saying the amount of person charged with crossing the border with simple possession was 43 pounds. Well, then that may cover it. It's not going to get a lot of people out of the way, because it's really, if he really wanted to, I mean, if Biden really wanted to crush the midterms, marijuana's off Schedule 1, and he could order that. He could do that right now if he wanted to, because the DEA classifies those things, and they're the one in charge of the scheduling, and he controls the DEA. So yeah. It'll pardon a bunch of people inside DC. Kathy's saying it won't cost as much as the student debt bailout. Yeah, but even then, remember, people like to say, oh, well, it's costing us money. At this point, the money's all just zeros in a computer somewhere, clicking off a couple zeros, adding a couple zeros. We're worried about student debt thing when we've printed out how many trillions of dollars in the past 20 years. Like that's really not the problem. Porcelain Thunder saying this is for Kamala. Oh, Charles saying, yeah, Biden's not a boomer. He's a war baby. Yeah, he's... A-Dub saying it does by good faith. It does 100%, but they could have done more. And maybe he's saying, get more Democrats in and we can get more. We'll go further. I don't know. I just don't think they could have done this better. Porcelain Thunder saying weed is pretty much legal to possess in DC now. Any possession charges would have been long gone, but that's how many decades of charges were out there for this. A ton. And then, like I said, think about on Indian reservations, if you got charged under federal law, all those places it could happen. So it may be important. It may help. We shall see. We shall see. Okay, where are we going now? So, yes, Monad says fiat currency cringed. The gold standard is based. Yes, it is. Sadly, we're not on that point anymore. KTB, sorry, just catching up on some of these I caught earlier. I don't care if you cover it live. I'll take anything. Thank you. Then we'll try to work on some things then. I won't necessarily be able to do a recap every day, but I can try to recap as I go. Eric Folmes saying, how well do I think Brooks is doing so far? Horrible. Porcelain Thunder says, let me ask you, was Brandon Lesko giving you super chats to drink that much? Yes, he was. Yes, he was. Last night was interesting. So everybody who was here last night, thank you for being around. That was a great show. And if you went over to watch Nick last night on Rumble, he had like 26,000 people watching, which is awesome because, for Keffels, like, hey, Lucas, how about that for a ratio? You want your tweets to be a ratio, bro. How about just getting blown out of the water on views during a live stream? I think that's what matters more. Josh Arian Fraud says, we want to see you react to stuff, but we want to see it too. Thanks. Because I'm Batman. 5702. Yes, Sean, it's called Show and Tell. Thank you. Thank you so much. Citric Adam as a new member. Thank you so much for being a member. I appreciate your support. Guys, we should have the emoji thing worked out. I'll have a couple emojis for you guys too coming up. Parallax saying for 250K, Hunter can just sell one of his paintings to cover it. Yeah. Yep. 100%. A-Dub says, wasn't Hunter booted from the military for drug use? Yes, he was. Didn't his daddy make it a general or under honorable conditions? Yeah. It wasn't an honorable discharge, but it was a favorable one that normally you wouldn't get if you're a drugged up toolbox. So, yeah, once again, it's all a bunch of bullshit, but we'll see what happens to Hunter. And, yes. Graham is saying, will Brooks represent himself at sentencing and on appeal? I don't know. Presumably at this point, yes. Tarkina Meyer saying on Timcast there are 0 people that this would impact. Well, it impact everybody who lives in D.C. So that's a lot of people, but those people aren't able to vote in a presidential election. And the representative for D.C. is going to be a Democrat anyway, but it doesn't matter because they don't get to vote. So their vote doesn't do anything. So yes, it doesn't really change much. It sounds good, which is something the Biden administration does a lot. They like to do things that sound really good, sound like they're doing something, but it doesn't help anybody. Tails was saying there's a tweet from Biden saying they should look at rescheduling marijuana. That would be, if he were to do that, oh my God, that would be crushing at the ballot. Now, if the Republicans are smart, they'd say, hey, we're putting forward a bill saying decriminalize marijuana, take it off Schedule 1. That would be a pretty good move. Toothless 420 says, yeah, Lucas loves the ratio. Yes, he does. Sweet Tooth Fairy saying, sorry to back up. Do you know why they told Brooks not to open the door and even the prosecutor whispered in his ear? I don't know what it was about, but the prosecutor's probably warning him, if you bring this up, this is going to be bad for you. Yeah, I don't know what it was, but I think that was, I know which part you're talking about. The prosecutor tried to warn him like, bruh, you don't want to do this. Maybe, who knows? Once again, they are doing their best to preserve the record. Necromancer 319 says the only ratio Keffels has is 41%. Oh no. It's okay, Lucas. We still care about you. Yeah, it was about his other charges. I think the bail jumping and the DV and gun charges. Maybe. I don't remember too much at that point. Parallax, you're taking off. Have a good one. Chaucerian Fraud says, I care less about Hunter's drug use and creepy family stuff with his brother's widow and more about his dealings in China and Ukraine. I do too, but this is everybody on Twitter, the law Twitter, and everybody's like, this is the bombshell. He'll flip now and he'll turn on his dad. Maybe this is what it takes. And then he starts opening up a gossip column. So maybe this is all it takes for him to flip. This is the beginning of the end for Biden. Until we see those tweets. Eric, I can't do that one, but I don't necessarily disagree. Then there's one more thing. Then if you guys have other stuff, we can talk about it. It is Lori Valo. Okay, it's Valo Daybell, not Daybell Valo. I don't really know. I don't really care. Anyway, she was set to go to trial at the beginning of January. And I know Kurt was probably going to cover that, but it looks like it's been suspended because there are further concerns about her mental competency. I don't know how crazy you have to be where this has been resolved once and we're back at it again. But she must be absolutely off her frickin' rocker. So she was ruled incompetent in 2021 after she was determined unfit for trial. And then, they would have stood trial together in 2023. So it's not a super they want a new competency hearing. Now, yes, things could change. But back in April, she was found competent. And that's when they said everything. But, who knows what actually did this or what caused them to change their minds. I think you should have asked for a second opinion at the time, but I don't know if that was denied by the court. So that's where things are for Lori Vallow. So we're not even going to have the trial on time. Harris Riley says, if you are found guilty on October 7th federally for possession, are you shit out of luck? Yes. Everybody up until this day. Today. So another hour and however long, if you get caught on today, yes, you're good to go. But if you do it tomorrow and you get caught smoking some weed or possessing simple possession, that's it. So Alpha Snark says Lucas has a worse hairline than Asmonball. Oh no. Yeah, that's going to be a little awkward for him soon. Pyramid 7 says this weed initiative is a step in the right direction. Yeah, it wouldn't be bad. It would be bad. But we'll see. We'll see what happens. Who's Lori Vallow? Oh, if you guys don't know about Lori Vallow, I guess we'll cover that real quick. So at the time, Lori Vallow is suspected of killing her two kids. One was 7, JJ, and then the other one was Tylee Ryan. They turned 17. Their bodies were found on Chad Daybell's property in Idaho. And at that point, Chad and Lori had married just 2 weeks before, or 2 weeks after his previous wife, Tammy Daybell, died unexpectedly. So they're charged with murdering her 2 kids and then his wife. And they're all, conspiracy and theft involving that. So they are facing the death penalty because Idaho's a death penalty state. But these 2 people are nutters. They're complete nutbags. And they're accused of murdering 3 people, including 2 of her children. A-Dub Singh, is this the long pork chili gal? No, that's Taylor Shabusiness in Wisconsin. I don't have any updates on her yet. So, yeah, I like Asmongold. He's rather based. Yeah, Asmongold's not too bad. Not too bad to listen to every once in a while. Yeah, Brent says the whole story is crazy. Several people ended up dead. Very true. Very, very, very true. 100% true. So that is it for me, guys. I don't know if did they dig up the wife to see what killed her? I don't recall how they tied the wife to everything, but they very easily were able to connect the murders, from what I understand. Graham is saying there's no business like Shaw business. I I'll allow it. That's cheeky, but I can see a lot of people also saying boo. I think it just depends. But that is it for me, guys. I think we are fully caught up. If you guys have any questions or things you want to talk about, we can circle back to Nick. Or if you guys have any other things you guys had wanted to talk about, we could try to touch on them in the meantime for a little bit at least. Alpha Snork says the leaked call in the Ms. Kiff sexual assault cover up makes Asmund super high in my books right now. I knew a little bit about this, but I didn't know Asmund was involved. Don't really know a whole lot about that. Oh, Discord link. Yeah, I should probably plug that right now too. And yes, guys, I know with Nick, there are some concerns about what's going on out there in the world. As far as where you can find people. But I want to just let you guys know that should anything ever happen to me, there is, a place you can go as well. And there is a locals page for myself, and that's potentially criminal.locals.com. So if anything were to ever happen to me, you guys could find me there. This is actually, no, this is from the page I'm working on. But yeah, I have different things up. Starting to put some videos up for everybody. Some of them are open. Everybody can see. Some of them are not. Like this one I just did. I just put this together for the viewers. Like, how do I deal with the copyright dispute when I get one? Which I might get one tonight for all the trial stuff we just did. And I kind of talk my way through it as I'm filling out the form and giving you guys a heads up on it. Then there's also rumble.com, and I am on Rumble as well. I'm on Rumble at Potentially Criminal. And you guys can find me there. And I, going back even up to last night, got a couple views on things. But yeah, I'm on Rumble. Everything's up there. I'm on Rumble as well. I'm on Odyssey. Although I don't really think anybody here is using Odyssey, but I'll put that up. I'm on Odyssey as Potentially Criminal as well. And you could find me there. Put everything up as well. I know there's I think there's some limits to what Odyssey shows. I think they limit stuff at times because there's been a couple of longer streams they have not put up. I think they kind of clip things down a little bit. But they do cover stuff. And like as you can see, a lot of the trial streams I don't have. And I think they limit stuff at 2 hours, which is a little infuriating, but I can't really say too much about it yet. But I probably got to talk to Nick about how to unscrew that problem. But you can find me there if anything ever does happen. I'll try to get the word out. And then finally, what's Odyssey kind of stinks, yeah. But hey, it's there. It's there. I'll use it. I got the notification for tonight from locals, not YouTube, just saying. Huh. I didn't know locals put something out tonight. Ag Biochemist says Nick needs to have Dave Landau on. Yes, today Nick was on with Lauder Crowder, but it's hosted by Dave Landau. Those guys are really good. Dave Landau is a hilarious comedian. Yeah, they would probably be really good together, and I think at some point you'll probably see them now. So, oh, we got a super chat here from. Oh, what am I? From Greater Rex for 199. Thank you for the super chat. Why does the judge keep explaining the law to Brooks? She's trying not to help him as much as she can, but there are times where the judge will still explain things even to an attorney, saying you can't ask it that way. That's this, that, not to the same level, but it's if she doesn't, it helps move things along. It moves things along, keeps the record from getting cluttered up, and it prevents, pitfalls from erupting. If she can kind of guide him, that makes things a little bit better. So there is that option. That's why she does it. As far as Discord goes, I don't think I'm set up enough where I get the permanent link, but I will put it up in the meantime. I do have a Discord, and if you guys, anything ever happens, I have information there as well. That Discord link is down in the chat right now. Yeah, Landau was funny on Kumia's show. 100% he was. Mural is saying, I uploaded my first video to my new Rumble channel last night while Nick's Rumble stream was on. Do I upload to Rumble and Odyssey and YouTube separately? No. You can go on to Rumble, and if any of you have channels, this is something I learned. You can go on to Odyssey and Rumble, and you can do synchronization with your channel. So Rumble, it's easy because there's no time limits. It sucks everything up. Odyssey will get everything within under 2 hours, but they will put it all up for you. And as you upload, it uploads to both. So you can do 3 uploads at once just by doing this. And I'm using StreamYard. So I'm using StreamYard, which then puts it on YouTube, which then Rumble picks up and then Odyssey picks up. So you can do it, and it's no muss, no fuss. It's actually a very easy thing. And Muralist, my email and everything, my contact stuff. Ooh, I don't have it down there. I should put it up on there because I feel kind of like a dope for not doing that. But if you do have questions, I'm not exactly the guru, but I'd be happy to help you if you had questions about it. And try to help you navigate through it. Like I said, I am not the best, but I certainly have enough of an idea. Save changes. And then we are to 131 likes. Thank you guys. I appreciate that. I hope that answers that question. Edit button is added to Twitter. Oh, that'd be nice. That'd be very nice. Oh, Bren, you did you got some people some memberships. Thank you so much. It's greatly appreciated. I know everybody who got one is very happy about it. So, yeah, congratulations to all the new members. Let's see. Keep tweeting at Team YouTube. Yes, keep tweeting at Team YouTube, guys. That is the one productive thing you can do. Keep calling attention to it and bringing up what's gone on, and that's been bullshit. As I stated before, and I stated last night, don't Fed post or do anything like that to Keffels and the other dipshits out there. That only gives them ammunition. So don't do that stuff. KTB saying I assumed it was locals. I'm usually never on time. Well, I don't know. I don't really know if I have stuff set up through locals. Eric Foam saying simulcast. Yeah, it kind of is, but the way I've got it set up works. And then am I talking to I can hear myself. We're not doing that. Any Fed posting helps Lucas. 100%. 100%. Chaucer saying, yeah, YouTube is built on content creators. It's not YouTube anymore. It's corporate tube, and it is. It is the slow march of corporate entertainment taking over. That's why if you see trending, it's almost all corporate media. And there's a reason why it's, yes, there's the odds of somebody becoming the next Mr. Beast on here are impossible. They will regulate and throttle that. But that just means it'll happen somewhere else. And then YouTube's going to become corporate entertainment and corporate media. And then there'll be a challenger to YouTube. And it'll just keep going, and eventually that one will sell out because that'll become the next big thing. And the circle of life will continue and continue. 25 years from now, if I'm still doing this, God willing, and I hope I am, maybe there'll been a couple different migrations. Maybe Rumble have sold out and we'll be somewhere else. YouTube's going to end up like MySpace pretty soon. No, it won't. YouTube is going to be around. Google will not let this fall apart. This will become a haven for like YouTube TV. It's turning into corporate TV and corporate media. That's what it's going to be. That's the future for it. Instead of cable, you're probably just going to have like YouTube TV. So I don't think that it's going to go away. YouTube is only going to get stronger and bigger. Google's only going to gain power. So I don't see them forsaking this. They have too much money involved. So that's what I think at the end of the day. Yes, how it started is broadcast yourself. How it's going, though, is shut the fuck up. Very true. Very true. Jacob Castro says a general strike. I know people like Jimmy Dore and some other people say that, and there's times where I think that would have a very good idea. But think about what happened in Canada. A bunch of truckers went on strike, basically. That's what the trucker convoy was. A handful of people went on strike, and they like to say it wasn't very many. And what did they do to those people? They froze their bank accounts and basically starved them out, and then had the police go fuck with them. The moment there's a general strike, what do you think they're going to do? They're going to freeze bank accounts, send the police in. A real general strike somewhere, they're sending in the National Guard. I mean, they will not tolerate, and they even admitted, Trudeau even admitted during the trucker thing, we are not going to tolerate threats to, economic things that are going on in the country. So they forced routes open. They broke up the protest. I mean, a real general strike would get put down so hard through so many means. I think it would be good to see it, and it would be good to take it to the man, but I just don't think it goes anywhere, as much as I hate to say that. I'm not saying that to be a poo-poo. Just telling you what I think. So Musk is X is the next big thing. It's why he's buying Twitter. Yeah, but it sounds like there's all kinds of really goofy shit going on with Twitter right now, as far as him buying it. Supposedly people are backing out, and then he made the offer for the $44 billion. I don't. Who knows what the hell's going on with it? I do hope Daddy Elon takes over and I can get out of the gulag, though. Fingers crossed. Jacob Castro saying free speech absolutist. 100%. Free speech absolutist to the maximum. First Amendment, Second Amendment, First Amendment absolutist, Second Amendment absolutist, Fourth Amendment absolutist, Fifth Amendment absolutist, Sixth Amendment absolutist. Nothing wrong with Ninth Amendment absolutist, 10th Amendment absolutist. So a lot of these you can be an absolutist about. You can be a Third Amendment absolutist if you really want to. But yeah, don't be afraid. Maximizing liberty is never a bad plan. Yes, Batman's correct. They othered him. They othered the truckers, yes. But just pointing out that they'll freeze you out and starve you to death. And as Sam Hyde says, remember, these people want you dead. They want your families out in the streets, your children raped and brainwashed, and they laugh about it. Something to remember. Jacob Castro saying, a general strike of YouTube content creators. I don't know. I think YouTube would say whatever. I don't know if that would really hurt them. Meat Candy saying the only way general strike is successful is without actual Fed post resistance activity. Yeah. Protests and strikes are full of glowies. Yeah. Mr. Dink says, screwing with the feds in real life is fun and funny. Yes, it is. Sorry, fraud saying repeal the 19th Amendment. There's a lot of amendments that could be there's a lot of them that could be repealed. There's a lot of them, but we're not going to go down that road. Yes, the 10th is the bastard stepchild, but it should be the most powerful amendment. It could be if we had a government and Supreme Court that cared. Jacob's saying repeal the 10th, not the 19th. I don't know if I want to repeal the 10th Amendment. That's very powerful, and it should be that way. Jacob Castro saying this is what 5th generation warfare looks like. 100% it is. 100%. Yeah, Eric Folmes, you're right. I think I just said that. They want you dead and broke and your kids raped and brainwashed, and they think it's funny. They do. They think it's hilarious. It's what they want. Aplexity saying, just noticed Bren gifted me a membership. Okay, well, yeah, Bren, everybody's very appreciative of what's going on. Chaucer saying, I think the right to privacy is fictional since the inception of the internet. We are the most monitored humans to have existed. No lies detected. Once again, guys, there's somebody who kind of called this out a long time ago. There is a very bright man sitting in federal prison right now who called this out. Yeah. Aside from the killing people part, Uncle Ted had a lot to say. So we want switchy emojis. Okay. I can't tell you yet, but you'll see what the emojis are coming up. Mr. Dink says we can all be victims. Yes, but anyways, guys, if you do know about Uncle Ted, he's having a rough time. He's having cancer, and apparently from his last letters I got out, things are not going well for him. So keep him in your thoughts and prayers. You may not like him, and yeah, he may have done some bad stuff, but still, nobody, he was trying to do his best and got narked on by his brother, which, that's a special piece of shit to narc out your own brother like that. Just saying. So, Eric Folmes is saying he taught me how to build things that one summer in his cabin. The answer to 1993 is 1995. Oh, I see what you did there. A name of some sort. I see what you did there. Chaucer is saying, yeah, with Uncle Ted, it makes me wonder if people are crazy or just ahead of the curve. Well, I mean, think about it with Alex Jones. Is he crazy or was he ahead of the curve? Something to think about. The Pike County Massacre, the trial's still going. It is still going. It's chugging along, and I'll probably do an update on that next week. Hopefully that'll be enough time we can really kind of dig into what's happened and what's been presented so far. Daniel's saying, well, yes, Danielle, that is yes. Yes, very true. Chris says, Kurt says hi. Well, if you guys have come over from Uncivil Law, thank you for stopping by. And Chaucer saying, yeah, they used him in a government experiment. Yeah, he was very likely have a test subject in MK Ultra. And certainly it didn't help his mental health issues. It may have really developed his schizophrenia by exposing him to all the things going on in that program. Or if it didn't help develop it, it certainly exacerbated things. M. Green saying, I don't think the Lori Valo trial will ever happen. At this rate, probably not, but you never know. You never know. At some point, she'll probably fry. So, yeah, Toothless 420 saying learn to weld. You'll never know when you might need to fix a bulldozer. Yeah. And Crown Target, yes, this goes back to the Fabians. Yes, the Fabian Society. It's one of the times where if I could go back in time with like an Uzi to take care of something, the Fabian Society, when they had a big couple of meetings back in the 1800s, in the Gilded Era, yeah, I'd be showing up with that and running out of magazines at some point. Look them up. They had the long grift planned out to get their way for the great grandkids and ongoing. Yes, it is. It's something that it's very neat to look up the Fabian Society. Fabian. Is Juicy Smollett ever going back to jail? Not until his appeals all sorted out, and that's nowhere near done. Eric Folmes, yep, MK Ultra. Bren super chat for $25. Thank you so much. I appreciate your support. Thanks for all the wonderful content, Sean. Well, thank you. I'm glad you guys like it. Just glad you guys like it. Foam says just lob a Molotov in the meeting. No, I go in. I would have taken like a gun in there and I would have anchor shot at everybody. No, I would have made sure. Because I'm Batman says, so you're saying they loved free helicopter rides. They would have loved free helicopter rides, the Fabian Socialist. Sweet Tooth Fairy, guys, we're about to wrap up actually in a minute anyway. But so if you got anything else you want to get it in soon. Still waiting for bated breath for the Dumpster Bros. Yeah, I don't know when that's gonna happen yet. It's still set to happen, but trials get continued. Sometimes they just zip right through and you don't have any issues, and sometimes they just never get going. And it doesn't help that COVID's a problem now because that's another issue that can arise. But sometimes trials drag on and drag on. C-Jewel, socialized healthcare, winning? No. I mean, are you saying socialized healthcare is a winning thing? Or are you asking me what I think about socialized healthcare? I mean, we've got Medicare and Medicaid. I mean, if you need it, it's available to you. At one point, I didn't have a job and I was on Medicare for a little bit just to make sure I didn't get sick or something happen in the meantime. It happens. And it does provide it work. It does exist. It does take fairly good care of people. So I don't think it's necessary. I mean, we already have socialized medicine. To act like we don't is foolish. But to do more than what we have now, I mean, there's people, the claims that like people are dying in the streets and they can't have this or that. Well, if that's because Obamacare's prices got all stupid, well, that's a separate matter. But there is access to healthcare for the most part. I don't think it's an issue. Porcelain Thunder says, thanks for the trial coverage. Very entertaining. Thank you. I appreciate it. Ag Biochemist says, if I could go back in time, I'd burn Karl Marx's books. Well, if you go back in time, kill Karl Marx. Be even better. A name of some sort saying the Purdue murder trial goes on. I've never heard of this Purdue murder case. Let's see. What the heck are you talking about? Purdue murder. Oh. Oh, somebody, yeah, this just happened. His roommate killed him. Wow, man, don't steal your roommate's ramen. That's all I can tell you. That's not a good sign. Although when I was in college, there was a girl who, I don't know if she had schizophrenia or something happened, but she suffered from a mental issue, and she then grabbed the iron she had in her room and beat her roommate severely with it, like really badly, almost killed her. And then I remember that girl who got injured came back and people were calling her Iron Girl for a while, the Iron Girl. And she didn't like that, so she left school because it was too embarrassing. Toothless 420 says, you touch the ramen, you get the chopsticks. Mr. Dink says, don't ever steal my soup. Yeah, guys, here, I'll put this up real quick. We can read through it, and then I'm going to sign off for the night. So, Purdue University student arrested on charge after he killed his roommate. Varun Marish Shiheda, I think it's her name. Sorry if I messed it up. Died of multiple sharp force traumatic injuries. We call it a stabbing generally, so I'm not sure. I like to call that a stabbing, but that's a very nice way of putting it. His roommate was Jimin Shah. And yeah, that's him right there. So killing him overnight. Oh, this just like happened. And these guys were seniors? Ooh. He's a cybersecurity major and international student from Korea. Oh, I have to talk to Legal Mindset and Jeff about this on Legal Vice to see if they know about it. So he's in the Tippecanoe County Jail on a murder charge, and no bond was set. And he might not get a bond, especially given that he is a foreign national with no ties to America and is very likely a flight risk. Although Korea, I'm pretty sure, without having to know it for sure, has a oh God, extradition treaty with the United States. God, why did I couldn't think of that for a second. They have an extradition treaty. If I had to bet my life on it, I'd bet that there is. But yes, he died of the guy died of multiple sharp force traumatic injuries. Yes, that is a very euphemistic way of Silver Smurfer saying my sandwich. Harris Riley said that must have been some good rum. David Davidson, shame for to spray. Jeez. Oh. Kathy Pearson said maybe use scissors or something weird. Still, if I'm using a sharp implement to engage in multiple sharp force traumatic injuries, it sounds like I'm stabbing you. I don't know how else you like. Even if I had a sharp pencil and I start poking it through you, I'm stabbing you with a pencil. And I could stab you if I tried hard enough, I could stab you with this remote control for my TV. That's yeah. I don't know if I made that clear. If you guys have seen my video about the studio tour, my monitor is actually a TV that I use, and I just plug it in through the HDMI. It's a lot easier than using a computer monitor because it's so big. It's so big. That's what she says. Mr. Dink says, like in Goodfellas with a pen. Not Goodfellas, Casino. Casino's got the pen. But yes, very good catch there. Harris Riley, yes, could sex be considered a stabbing? Well, I mean, there was Captain Stabbin'. His site had a good run. Oh, so he was talking with friends on the phone and he was gaming with people when all of a sudden he got killed right in the middle of his game. That's gotta suck. You're trying to, win some team deathmatch and your roommate tries to stab you to death. So we shall see. Yeah, there's no motive or details yet. The room was just the two of them. And yeah, who knows really what happened yet. So that'll be an interesting one to cover, and I'll keep this in mind. And guys, if you don't hear me talk about it in the meantime, don't be afraid to say, "Hey, dummy, let me know what's going on." Yes, the bodega worker, his family is suing. Yes, they're suing the guy, and it's not going to go anywhere. But assholes do that. They sue and do crap like that. So JP says friendly fire has been activated. Yes, Meat Candy says his friends are going to be so mad that, they asked him to hold down the flank or help them out, and they didn't realize he was bleeding to death. Oh. Sweet Tooth says, are you streaming tomorrow? Yes, the plan is I will be streaming tomorrow night. I will be streaming tomorrow night. And Bren, I think I covered your super chat if I didn't already. Thank you very much for your super chat for $25. I appreciate all the support. And yes, Bren said, thank you for the wonderful content. Well, it's my pleasure. My pleasure. So, yeah, I will be doing it at night, definitely. During the day, it's going to be dependent. It's going to be dependent. We'll see. And then, yeah, for Friday, we'll be messing around and having some fun. And that's really it for me, guys. 130 people watching. Thank you so much. Guys, if you haven't, please give me a like. I appreciate it. Subscribe as well. Let's see here. Just see if anybody else has what else is going on here. Making sure I didn't miss anything. So let me see here. Yeah, I'll probably grab some of the stuff. We can cover more tomorrow. I might cover the bodega stabbing people tomorrow. That'll be interesting. So, guys, Leonard, hey, how you doing? Glad to see you. So, guys, remember until next time. No, actually, before we get too far, remember, free Nick Rekieta, fuck Keffels, fuck Duncan, fuck Gayfesh, fuck everybody, fuck YouTube. And then remember until next time, just because you did it doesn't mean you're guilty. See Nick tonight on Rumble. He'd appreciate you stopping by.